Everyone said you can't build a $200 billion empire on peace. Someone just did it anyway. While traditional development approaches struggle to deliver real change, Dr. Rashed Osman and World Peace Development Holdings have created something entirely different. They call it the Peaceism ecosystem, and it's turning everything we know about mega-scale development upside down. In Laos, they've just signed the largest foreign investment agreement in the country's history. Over $200 billion dedicated to transforming an entire nation's economy. But here's what makes this revolutionary. Instead of extracting resources, they're building integrated systems. Renewable energy, healthcare, education, industrial zones, all connected through what they call peace-driven development. The Lao Prime Minister called it transformative. International observers say it could become the model for sustainable growth in emerging economies. This isn't just about one country, it's about proving that peace, prosperity, and massive infrastructure can work together at unprecedented scale. World Peace Development Holdings builds mega-scale, peace-driven ecosystems with governments and private partners. The approach aligns infrastructure, industry, and social services to create jobs and resilience. At the center is people access to work, food, healthcare, education, housing, justice, and safety. Peace isn't abstract, it's dignity, protection, and equal opportunity. Join the Peaceism ecosystem. Learn, partner, and co-build the blueprint for sustainable prosperity. The Peaceism ecosystem is an operating system for national development. It coordinates governments, private partners, and communities in one integrated frame. Employment. Large-scale jobs and skills pipelines power long-term growth. Food. Regenerative agriculture and smart logistics for secure supply. Healthcare. Universal access and preventive care systems. Education. Lifelong upskilling for an adaptive workforce. Housing. Affordable, resilient, community-centric design. Justice. Transparent governance and rights protections. Safety, conflict resolution, disaster readiness, and cybersecurity. Peacecoin is the digital rail for transparent value distribution. It's not an investment contract. Coins are allocated based on human existence and community effort. Assets and decisions are recorded for auditability and public trust. A trustee model guides decisions with clear accountability. Community voice shapes priorities and surfaces local solutions. Design is community-centric solutions built with, not for, people. Capital grows alongside forests, skills, and incomes, not at their expense. Economic security links healthcare, education, income, shelter, food, and connection. A free global series activates collaboration from jobs and food to justice and resilience. The narrative is peace-first unity of humankind, dignity without borders, because all mankind is from one family. Opportunity must be universal. Stakeholders call the Laos Partnership a transformative step for long-term growth. Observers say it could model diversified, climate-ready development. This is implementation, not optics projects, delivering measurable change. Leaders and builders join, sponsor, speak, and co-implement the next Peaceism corridors. Next, how projects sequence to create lasting jobs, resilient cities, and shared prosperity. Phase 1 strengthens energy and logistics. Phase 2 scales industry and housing. Phase 3 expands social services. Reliable power unlocks factories, hospitals, and classrooms. Renewables lower costs and build energy independence. Freight corridors and smart customs accelerate exports and reduce waste. Mobility connects workers to opportunities and markets to producers. Industrial parks anchor jobs. SME clusters localize value chains. Entrepreneur programs turn talent into enterprises. Healthcare capacity improves well-being and worker productivity. Education expands human capital and future skills. Affordable, climate-ready neighborhoods reduce displacement risk. Public safety and social connection strengthen peace. E-services cut friction and corruption, increasing trust. Justice systems emphasize fairness and reintegration. A new job raises an entire household. Digital tools stabilize income and reduce waste. Connectivity multiplies value across sectors. Peace thrives where everyone belongs. Basic needs are engineered into the plan.
Thanks to the peace ecosystem, I found support and community, especially in healthcare. It's a game changer.
Blockchain opened doors to jobs and resources I never imagined. It's empowering.
Visit the Expo series, Partner on Corridors. Let's turn peace into prosperity. We build for those who come after us. Clean power fuels opportunity. Care for all protects dignity. Skills for tomorrow unlock prosperity. Peace is measurable when lives improve transparently and at scale. Leaders, innovators, and communities, your seat at the table is ready. Equity by design, not by chance. Employment, food, healthcare, housing, education, justice, safety. Humanity first. Love, peace, joy. Unity without prejudice or borders. From river valleys to smart cities, the future is being built. World Peace Development Holdings, building a sustainable future through the Peaceism ecosystem. Subscribe, share, and join the mission. Peace is a plan and a platform. Let's build it.
My world shattered that night. Someone broke into my home, the one place I thought was safe. They took things, yes, but they took more than that. They stole my peace of mind. Every creak of the floorboards makes me jump. I look at my neighbors and wonder if I can trust them. I feel a deep ache in my chest, anger, fear. The police came, they wrote a report, charges, court dates. But no one asked me what I needed. No one asked how to make the fear stop. I need to understand why this happened to me. I need to know if the person who did this sees the damage they caused. Do they know I lie awake at night? Do they know I am afraid in my own house? I need them to hear my voice. I need them to see my face. I need them to understand the harm they created. Punishment alone feels empty. It will not give me back my sense of safety. It will not answer the questions that haunt my quiet moments. I need something more. I need a way to heal from this wound, not just a way to punish the person who inflicted it. I hope to put the pieces of my life back together. I hope to feel safe again in my own home. I want to believe people can change, that harm can be repaired. Maybe if the person who did this could hear my story, something would shift. Maybe if they had to face the real-life consequences of their actions, not just a judge in a robe, they would understand. I am not looking for revenge. I am looking for repair. I am searching for a path that leads away from this constant fear and toward a place of healing and restored trust. This desire for something more than punishment is where restorative justice begins. It starts with the voice of the person who was harmed. It listens to their needs for safety, for truth, and for repair. It recognizes that when a wrong is done, it creates obligations, unpacking the core ideas. Restorative justice is a different way of thinking about crime and conflict. The usual justice system asks 3 questions. What law was broken? Who broke it? What punishment do they deserve? This approach focuses on rules and punishment. It often leaves the victim on the sidelines. The offender is defined by their worst act. The community watches from a distance as the formal system takes over. Restorative justice asks a different set of questions. Who has been hurt? What are their needs? Whose obligation is it to meet those needs? This changes everything. The focus shifts from broken laws to harmed people and broken relationships. The goal isn't just punishment. It's repairing the harm as much as possible. Healing for the victim. Accountability for the offender, peace for the community. This approach is built on a few simple but powerful ideas. The first idea, harm creates obligations. The person who caused the harm must understand the impact and do what they can to make things right. The second idea, victims should have a voice, a right to be heard, to ask questions, to say what they need to heal. The third idea, the community has a role. Supporting both parties. Upholding respect. Upholding safety. Ultimately, restorative justice restores balance. Restore the person harmed to security. Restore them to dignity. Safety is the most important rule in restorative justice. Without a deep and unwavering commitment to safety, the process cannot work. It can even cause more harm. This means the physical, emotional, psychological well-being of every participant, especially the person who was harmed. They must be the top priority at all times. Before any meeting happens, careful preparation must be done. Create a safe container for the difficult conversation. The principle of consent is central to ensuring safety. No one can be forced to participate. The person who was harmed must voluntarily agree to take part. They have the right to say no at any time, for any reason. They also have the right to choose how they participate. They might not want to meet the offender face to face. They could choose to write a letter to be read aloud. They could have a trusted friend or advocate speak for them. Giving the victim control over their participation helps restore agency. A trained facilitator plays a critical role in establishing and maintaining safety. This person is not a judge, but a guide. The facilitator meets with the victim separately. The facilitator meets with the offender separately. They listen to each person's story. They explain the process clearly. They set ground rules for respectful communication. During the meeting, the facilitator ensures rules are followed. No one is shamed, no one is blamed, no one is interrupted. The facilitator's calm and steady presence helps everyone feel secure enough to speak honestly and vulnerably. The restorative meeting, often called a conference or a circle, is the heart of the process. It is a carefully structured conversation designed to allow for truth-telling and problem-solving. It is not an argument or a debate. It is a guided dialogue with a clear purpose, to address the harm and decide together what needs to be done. The structure is simple but powerful. The meeting begins with the person who was harmed. They share what happened and how it affected them. Next, the person who caused the harm responds, acknowledges, and accepts responsibility. Afterward, the group creates a plan: apology, restitution, service, counseling, and writes clear steps everyone agrees on. Accountability in the traditional justice system often means one thing: punishment. It is about serving time, paying a fine, or following probation rules. Often, offenders never face the person they hurt or take personal steps to make things right. This is passive accountability. Restorative justice is active and relational. It asks three things: understand impact, take responsibility, take action to repair. This is more demanding than simply accepting a punishment. It requires courage, empathy, and effort, Making amends is the tangible part of this active accountability. If a teen vandalized a park bench, amends can go beyond paying for it. Working with the parks department for a month, writing a respectful apology, completing realistic tasks, related to the harm, respectful to the victim, and achievable for the offender. Active amends can restore self-worth and connection. Studies show restorative processes can lower reoffending by building real understanding of consequences. The power of restorative justice is best seen in small, real-life examples. Imagine a group of students who spray-painted graffiti on the wall of a local grocery store. The store owner was angry and felt disrespected. The police caught the students. Instead of juvenile court, they referred the case to a restorative circle. He shared how he built his business and how the graffiti hurt him and scared customers. The students listened, saw him as a person, and one by one apologized. Together, they made a plan. They cleaned the wall and repainted. They worked inside to understand the business. The harm was repaired and a lesson learned. Consider another story, a stolen bicycle. A young woman's only transportation to work was taken. She was devastated. The thief, a teenager from the neighborhood, was caught. In the conference, she described the impact. She had to spend on bus fare and was late to work twice. She felt violated and insecure. He had never thought about these consequences. He stole to help with family bills, not an excuse, but context. He agreed to work part-time at a community center to earn money to pay her back. The director offered the job on the spot. She got her money back. The teen got a job and a mentor, and the community turned harm into an opportunity for growth and connection. Restorative justice is powerful, but it is not a magic solution for every situation. It requires willing participants. If the victim declines or the offender refuses responsibility, it cannot proceed. Severity matters. In cases like murder or severe sexual assault, RJ is complex, risky for re-traumatization, and must be led by highly skilled facilitators. Successful dialogues exist, but are rare. Many programs start with property crime and minor assaults to build trust. Implementing RJ needs training, education, funding, patience, long-term commitment. Access must be equitable, regardless of race, income, or background. The journey toward a more restorative world begins with small, intentional steps. It starts not in a courtroom, but in neighborhoods, schools, families. The first step is to start talking about these ideas. Ask leaders what they're doing to address conflict in ways that repair harm. Build skills, listen better, ask open questions, learn facilitation. Start small, focus on a clear need, train committed community members. Partner with courts and police while maintaining community ownership. Grow steadily, be transparent, and keep equity at the center.
What does it mean to be human? It means we possess an inherent right to dignity, safety, freedom simply by virtue of our existence. These are not privileges to be earned, but fundamental truths that should protect every single one of us, no matter where we are born, what we believe, who we love. Yet, as we stand here today on November 13th, 2025, this promise feels more fragile than ever. The drumbeat of injustice echoes across continents, a somber reminder that the rights we hold so dear are not universally guaranteed. They are under constant threat, and their defense requires our constant vigilance and unwavering commitment. The scale of this challenge is not a matter of opinion. It is a stark, measurable fact. The World Justice Project reports that more than 5 billion people have unmet justice needs, meaning they cannot access legal help for problems ranging from land disputes, intimate partner violence. Think about that number. It is more than half of the world's population living without the basic protection of the law. This essay is not meant to be a lament, but a roadmap. It promises a clear story to ground us in the human reality of this crisis, and it will lay out 3 concrete, achievable actions we can all champion to fortify the rules that safeguard us all. The fight for human rights is not a distant, abstract battle waged by diplomats in quiet rooms. It is a deeply personal struggle that touches the core of our shared humanity. It is about ensuring a young girl can go to school without fear, that a journalist can report the truth without facing persecution, and that a family can access clean water and health care without being turned away. Before we can strengthen something, we must first understand what it is. So, what exactly are these human rights frameworks we speak of? Imagine them as a blueprint for a safe and just society. They are the intricate and interconnected web of rules, laws, institutions, systems designed specifically to protect the fundamental dignity and freedom of every individual. At the international level, this blueprint includes the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and various United Nations treaties. These treaties are powerful promises to protect rights like free expression, the right to a fair trial, and access to education and health care. These international promises are only as strong as their national foundations. Diagram: how international treaties connect to national laws, courts, and local community support centers. The framework extends into a country's constitution, its laws, and its judicial system. It includes national statutes outlawing discrimination, the courts that provide a fair hearing, and police forces tasked with protecting citizens, not harming them. The blueprint is not just paper and ink. It is also made up of living, breathing institutions. Independent national human rights commissions, non-governmental organizations advocating for the vulnerable, and local community centers, providing direct legal aid and support to those in need. When this entire system works in harmony, it is a beautiful and powerful thing. A person who has been wronged can find a clear path to justice. They can point to a specific law that protects them, find a lawyer to help them navigate the system, and trust that a judge will rule fairly based on the evidence. The framework acts as a shield, deflecting the blows of injustice and abuse of power. Unfortunately, in too many places, this blueprint is ignored, or the structure is built with faulty materials. Frameworks fail when laws have loopholes that allow for discrimination, or when they are written in such complicated language that ordinary people cannot understand their own rights. They crumble when the courts are not independent, when police are corrupt, or when leaders simply decide to ignore their own country's legal and international obligations. The framework becomes a hollow promise, a beautifully drawn plan for a house that was never built. To truly grasp why these frameworks matter, we must move beyond abstract concepts and see the world through the eyes of someone whose life depends on them. Let me tell you about a young woman named Lena. She lived in a small rural town, far from the capital city where laws are made and debated. Her family worked the land, earning just enough to get by, but they had very little in savings. The village was picturesque, but it lacked the basic infrastructure that many of us take for granted. There was no local health clinic. One day, Lena fell seriously ill with a respiratory infection that required urgent medical attention. The local law, on paper, guaranteed a right to health care for all citizens, but it provided no mechanism for how that right could be accessed in remote areas. No mobile clinics, no travel subsidies, no system to keep medicines stocked outside major cities. The human rights framework that was supposed to protect Lena had a gaping hole in it, a blind spot for people living in poverty and in rural communities. Feeling desperate, Lena's father tried to file a complaint with the local authorities, asking for assistance. He was met with indifference and bureaucracy. No designated office handled such grievances, no one to guide him through petitioning for his daughter's rights. He was told these things take time and that there was no budget for special cases. The fear of speaking out was palpable. Challenging local officials could bring repercussions for his family. The system was not just failing to help, it was actively discouraging people from seeking the help they were entitled to. Lena was trapped by the very framework designed to free her. The first and most fundamental pillar is to forge the laws themselves with both clarity and steel. The laws on the books are the very bedrock upon which all other protections are built. If this foundation is weak, ambiguous, or cracked, the entire structure is at risk of collapse. It is not enough to say we support human rights. We must translate that sentiment into precise, robust, and enforceable legal language. These laws must be easy for every citizen to understand, clearly defining who is protected, what rights they hold, and how those rights can be defended. Review national legislation to align with international standards, such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Where gaps exist, new laws must be drafted and passed. Address urgent issues: online harassment, data privacy, climate justice, and the rights of displaced persons. A comprehensive domestic violence law should criminalize abuse, fund shelters, mandate police training, and create fast-track courts. Clarity is essential to access to justice. A clear law empowers a worker, protects a tenant, and equips a parent to demand promised resources. Laws must include duties for officials and consequences for inaction or abuse. Easy to comprehend and difficult to ignore. Having clear and strong laws is a critical first step, but without a robust system of enforcement and accountability, a promise is merely a suggestion. We need institutions that monitor compliance, investigate violations, and hold perpetrators accountable without fear or favor. Effective enforcement begins with an independent judiciary and a well-trained, rights-respecting police force. Accountability is bolstered by a free press and a thriving civil society. They must be protected, not persecuted. A national human rights institution can receive complaints, conduct inquiries, report publicly, and recommend reforms, if independent and well-funded. Internationally, mechanisms like the Universal Periodic Review create diplomatic pressure for change. International courts prosecute the most heinous crimes when national systems fail. From local to global, this web of accountability says, violations will not be tolerated and perpetrators will be held responsible. Accountability turns paper promises into lived protections. The third pillar is widespread access and awareness, because a right is not a right if people do not know or cannot defend it. Public campaigns through radio, television, and social media must use simple, accessible language. Education is the first line of defense and should begin early, teaching equality, respect, and inherent worth. Workshops can empower villages to understand rights to land, water, and participation. Tear down access barriers with free or low-cost legal aid, mobile clinics, local help desks, and confidential hotlines. Prioritize those facing the highest barriers. Translate materials, ensure accessible formats, and build culturally sensitive, trusted outreach. By spreading the word and opening every door to justice, we activate people power and strengthen the entire framework. Awareness plus access makes rights resilient, responsive, and real. In an interconnected world, no nation can safeguard human rights in isolation. Pandemics, climate change, economic crises, and mass displacement ignore borders and demand coordinated responses. Strengthening national frameworks is linked to robust international cooperation. Sharing what works saves time and resources. A country can share legislative texts, training manuals, and data with those just starting that journey. Richer nations should support others through financial aid, technical expertise, and capacity building. From independent judiciaries to fair elections, cooperation can seed durable institutions. When governments abuse their own people, international mechanisms investigate, document, seek justice, and apply pressure, even sanctions or humanitarian interventions. Partnerships must respect local context, working with civil society, community leaders, and governments to uphold universal principles locally. Securing freedom is a team sport. No nation can win it alone. While institutions hold formal power, the true engine of progress is people. History shows determined civic action can bend the arc toward justice. In our connected age, the actions of individuals, multiplied by millions, become unstoppable. Students use social media to organize peaceful protests and capture global attention. Local groups document harms and lobby for stronger regulations. Grassroots organizations fill gaps and advocate for reform. Stay informed, share knowledge, sign petitions, donate, and choose ethical supply chains. Volunteer, demonstrate peacefully, and, most importantly, vote to hold leaders accountable. The power is in our hands. We must choose to use it. We have journeyed through the architecture of freedom, from the abstract blueprint of international treaties to the deeply personal story of Lena, whose life hung in the balance of a failing system. The path forward is built on three solid pillars: forging laws with clarity and steel, maintaining an unblinking eye of accountability, and throwing open the doors to justice through education and access. We cannot do this alone. It takes international cooperation and relentless civic action. For leaders, act now. Review and align national laws with universal human rights standards. Create and fund truly independent bodies to monitor and hold power to account. Invest in the infrastructure of justice, the clinics, the health centers, the schools that teach equality. For citizens, educate yourself and others. Raise your voice against injustice, online, in your community, and at the ballot box.
Section 1. Introduction: The urgent call for digital governance. In our rapidly changing world, the relationship between citizens and their government is more important than ever. People everywhere are asking for more than just basic services. They are demanding a government that is fair, responsive, and clear in its actions. They want to understand the decisions that shape their lives, from how their taxes are spent to how public health crises are managed. This desire for trust and clarity is not new, but the tools we have to achieve it are. Digital technologies now offer unprecedented opportunities to pull back the curtain on governance, making it more open, participatory, and accountable. This essay will explore how technology, specifically through digital transparency and open data, can fundamentally reshape government for the better, empowering citizens and enabling more effective public administration. When government operations are visible, they are improvable. When citizens are invited to participate, armed with information and accessible tools, they become co-creators of public solutions. Unpacking digital transparency. More than just open doors. At its heart, digital transparency means making government information and operations accessible, understandable, and usable through digital platforms. It goes far beyond files on request. It means proactively publishing datasets, budgets, public contracts, and performance metrics in open, machine-readable formats so a journalist, a software developer, a researcher, or an interested citizen can download, analyze, and repurpose without restriction. True transparency is not just about availability, it is about utility. Illuminate how decisions are made, how public money is spent, and how services perform in real time. Let residents follow projects from proposal to completion, flagging delays or overruns as they happen. Create clear digital channels for public participation. Transform government from a black box into a glass house, with simple language, interactive maps, and clear charts that empower the public. When government operations become more transparent, the benefits are tangible. Publishing budgets, contracts, and spending online deters mismanagement and waste. Public oversight pushes officials to be more scrupulous so resources reach their intended purpose. Performance data helps families choose better schools and healthcare, and helps governments improve service quality. Maps expose disparities, powerful evidence for equity-focused advocacy. Openness builds trust, countering misinformation and making systems feel fair. With trust, compliance and participation rise. Open data fuels innovation and economic opportunity. It unlocks value trapped in silos and builds more resilient, inclusive communities. At the foundation are open data portals, central libraries for standardized machine-readable datasets, census information, environmental measurements, government spending, and business registries. Raw data empowers analysis and public-serving applications. Dashboards transform complexity into visuals everyone can grasp. Track outbreaks in real time. See where tax dollars go. Visual aids enable broader engagement. No statistics degree required. Apps like See-Click-Fix and Fix My Street let residents report potholes, broken lights, and missed pickups. Clear feedback loops build trust and efficiency. Thousands contribute ideas, deliberate, and co-create the public agenda. In Ukraine, the ProZorro e-procurement system made government contracting radically transparent. Before, insiders, opacity, inflated prices. Public scrutiny increased competition, saved billions, and boosted trust. Boston's BOS 311 geotags issues to the right department in seconds. Open data enabled pattern finding the city hadn't seen. Insights drove proactive deployments and faster repairs. Open data created a common picture for coordinated response, directing resources where needed and slowing spread. Communities found links between broken streetlights and crime spikes. Data to impact, open data, civic analysis, and advocacy delivered safer neighborhoods. Tools must be designed with empathy for the people who use them. Simple, intuitive, accessible. Use plain language and visuals that translate complex ideas into everyday meaning. Explain capital expenditure through concrete outcomes, not accounting terms. Design mobile first and responsive. Many rely on phones as their only internet. Meet accessibility standards so everyone can participate. Co-design with residents. Test prototypes. Build what solves real problems. Make reporting easy, show status, and close the loop. Lower barriers to finding answers. No special degree needed. Thoughtful, inclusive design turns possibility into democratic reality. The most prominent concern: protecting individual privacy. Inadvertent exposure can harm people and erode trust. Apply robust anonymization and aggregate data to protect individuals. Automated systems can encode historical discrimination. Biased data produces biased recommendations, amplifying unfairness. Use algorithmic transparency, regular audits, and human review for high-stakes decisions. Digital first must not become digital only. Maintain offline channels and invest in digital literacy. Centralized systems attract attackers. Breaches damage trust. Invest in cybersecurity, test regularly, and prepare clear response protocols. Leaders must champion openness, release data, even when it's unflattering, and act on insights. Frontline staff need training, resources, and cross-functional teams. Foster experimentation and blend policy with technology. Citizens, NGOs, and local groups turn data into action. Journalists are infomediaries, uncovering failure or success and informing the public. Universities and tech build evidence and usable platforms, spaces where developers, designers, and policy experts collaborate. Together, they create a resilient ecosystem for continuous improvement. The journey toward transparent, accountable, citizen-centered government is practical and can begin today. Publish budgets, procurement, and key service performance as open data. Create dashboards with clear goals and live status. Provide clear feedback channels and internal processes to respond. Invest in people. Train for data literacy and digital delivery. Citizens, ask for transparency. Use the data and organize around it. Measure success by outcomes in people's lives, not apps launched. Data empowers earlier interventions and meaningful participation. Together, we can harness technology to build open, fair, effective government that we all deserve.
Across the globe, a quiet but pervasive crisis is unfolding, one that erodes the very foundation of our civic life. A profound lack of trust between citizens and the governments that serve them. Decisions are often made behind closed doors. Budgets are presented as impenetrable walls of numbers. The processes that shape our communities feel distant and obscure. This creates a fertile ground for suspicion, where citizens begin to assume the worst about how their money is spent and how critical choices are made. This erosion of trust is not merely a matter of public perception. It paralyzes progress, stifles civic engagement, and ultimately weakens the fabric of society. When people feel disconnected from their government, they are less likely to participate, collaborate, or believe in a shared future. This chasm of distrust, however, is not insurmountable. Tools capable of prying open the black boxes of bureaucracy and shining a light on public administration. These are not futuristic, unattainable solutions, but practical digital instruments deployable today to foster openness and accountability. From simple open data portals that make government information accessible to everyone, to complex systems like blockchain, creating immutable, tamper-proof records. The central promise is simple: make government actions visible, verifiable, and understandable to the people they serve. Imagine tracking your tax dollars from the moment they're collected to the exact school, road, or hospital they help fund. This essay will show how digital tools and blockchain can dismantle walls of opacity, use real-world examples to prove their power, and provide a roadmap for leaders and citizens to build honest, responsive, trustworthy governments. The journey to transparency is not just a technical upgrade, it's a fundamental rebalancing of power. By making information universally accessible and processes verifiable, technology empowers citizens to be active participants instead of passive recipients. It turns governance from a monologue into a dynamic dialogue between people and elected officials. This shift restores faith in public institutions and ensures they work for the collective good. The ultimate goal: honesty as an ingrained, verifiable feature of government. The path to a more transparent government does not require a sudden, massive leap into complex, untested technologies. Instead, it begins with simple, intuitive, widely available tools designed to make public information accessible to all. The most fundamental of these is the Open Data Portal. Think of this as a digital public library. City budgets, public employee salaries, crime statistics, business licenses, published in a clean, organized, machine-readable format. Instead of being locked in cabinets or buried in convoluted PDFs, this information is available for anyone to download, analyze, and repurpose, free of charge. These portals are catalysts for civic engagement and accountability. Journalists can uncover waste or corruption. Entrepreneurs can build helpful apps. Researchers can propose better policies. Beyond static data, digital tools can bring the very processes of governance into the public square. Live streaming city council meetings and public hearings on platforms like YouTube and Facebook removes physical barriers to participation. A working parent, a person with a disability, can now watch proceedings from home, submit questions in a live chat, and hear the debates that shape their community. Similarly, online feedback platforms and participatory budgeting tools allow citizens to propose ideas, report issues, and vote on how a portion of the public budget should be spent, transforming them from passive observers into active collaborators. While open data portals make information available, they do not guarantee accuracy or that data hasn't been tampered with. A government could alter a database to hide facts or change a digital record to favor a party. This is where blockchain offers a revolutionary solution. At its core, a blockchain is a shared, distributed digital ledger, thousands of identical linked notebooks across a network. New entries are broadcast, verified by participants, then added as a block to the chain. Each block is cryptographically linked to the one before it, creating a chronological, unbreakable chain. To alter a record, you'd need to change that block and every block after on a majority of computers, an incredibly difficult task. This structure makes blockchain immutable, ensuring the integrity of its information. Recording procurement end-to-end, initial bids to final payments, creates a permanent, auditable trail. No secret bid edits, no hidden favors without a footprint. Land registries, aid tracking, even voting systems gain verifiable integrity. To see real-world impact, look to the Republic of Georgia. After independence, property rights were insecure, bureaucratic, slow, and vulnerable to corruption and fraud. Citizens faced opaque processes, disputes, and low confidence, stifling investment and development. In 2016, NAPR partnered with Bitfury to anchor the digital land registry to a secure, private blockchain. They augmented, not replaced, the database, using blockchain as a secondary verification layer. Transaction essentials, sales, inheritance, were hashed and recorded on-chain. A unique hash created a permanent, time-stamped, tamper-proof record, independent of the central database. People received receipts linking to the blockchain record, enabling independent verification of ownership. Confidence rose, fraud risk dropped, and registration became faster and cheaper. Georgia shows that incremental integration can secure rights, reduce corruption, and stabilize the business environment, delivering a more honest government. While digital tools and blockchain offer immense potential, it would be naive to view them as a magic bullet. The digital divide, connectivity, skills, devices, can exclude the most vulnerable. Moving services exclusively online without equity risks a new form of exclusion. Bureaucratic inertia and fear of scrutiny resist radical transparency. Some resist because openness disrupts entrenched interests. Building secure portals and robust blockchain apps requires investment, development, infrastructure, security, and ongoing maintenance and staffing. Smaller municipalities may lack budget and skilled teams, risking digital ghost towns. A polished portal can still be a veneer. Cherry-picked releases hide controversy. Bad blockchain design can legitimize bad data. Technology is a tool. Without honest intent, legal access frameworks, and a watchful civil society, advanced systems can serve control rather than empowerment. Address the digital divide. Invest in connectivity and create access points in libraries, community centers, and government offices. Commit to digital literacy so everyone can find, understand, and use public information. Start small, scale smart. Pick visible, high-impact pilots like broken sidewalks where data is straightforward. Demonstrate success, prove value, and win over skeptics. Iterate based on real-world use before a wider rollout. Implement robust governance, anonymize data, publish clear privacy policies, empower independent oversight. Build privacy by design so verification doesn't expose personal details. Pair tech with strong FOI laws and a vibrant ecosystem. Journalists, academics, watchdogs, via grants and civic hackathons. Ensure data is used to scrutinize action and drive positive change. Transparency requires unwavering leadership. Leaders must champion a clear vision for an open, honest, collaborative government. Make public commitments and weave transparency into policies and communications. Fund portals, training, and pilot projects. Frame as investments in efficiency, development, and trust. Transparent procurement reduces fraud and boosts competition. Identify innovators, give them cover to experiment, celebrate wins, and formalize roles like an Office of Innovation or a Chief Data Officer. Be accountable, share successes and failures, use data to engage the public in fixing problems. Model a culture where data drives learning, not blame. Leaders must build the political and cultural infrastructure where transparency can flourish. Technology can open the doors of government, but citizens must walk through them. The promise of honesty is a two-way street requiring an engaged citizenry. Pay attention, visit the open data portal, explore the interactive budget, tune into council live streams. Public attention signals that transparency is valued and actions are watched. Use feedback apps to report problems. Submit ideas and vote for neighborhood improvements. Be a watchdog. Anyone can analyze public data to drive change. With technical skills, build apps and do deep dive analyses at meetups. Advocate for stronger FOI laws, digital access, and user-friendly tools. Bottom-up pressure creates political will when citizens demand and responsibly use transparency. The distrust separating citizens and governments is not irreversible. With intention, courage, and smart application of technology, it can be repaired. Simple tools make government visible and understandable. Cryptographic security provides unbreakable integrity, verifiable by all. Together, these tools lead to a government that is more efficient and more honest. But the journey faces human challenges. The digital divide, institutional inertia, superficial implementation. Leaders must champion, resource, cultivate openness, pilot, learn, and protect privacy. Citizens must use the tools to scrutinize budgets, report problems, contribute ideas, and hold officials accountable. An open government is only as powerful as the engagement it inspires. Technology is not the savior, but it is our most powerful tool to build open, accountable, and trustworthy governments worthy of a thriving 21st century democracy.
We all carry stories inside of us, moments that shape who we are and how we see the world. But some stories are heavier than they should be, weighed down not by personal choice, but by the silent, grinding gears of a system that wasn't built for everyone. Let me share a story with you, one that happens every single day in towns just like yours. Maria is a mother, a hard worker, a woman doing everything she can to build a life for her family. She works 2 jobs, juggling schedules and responsibilities with grace. One morning, her child wakes with a fever. It's that feeling every parent knows, that sudden drop in your stomach. Maria knows she needs to stay home, but when she calls her boss, the answer is a cold, simple no. No paid time off, no flexibility. She loses a day's pay, a crucial loss for her tight budget, and her child misses a day of school, falling a little further behind. This small moment creates a ripple effect, a cascade of consequences a fairer system would have prevented. The system, workplace rules, the school's lack of support, didn't have the capacity for compassion or the flexibility to account for real life. It treated her not as a human being, a mother with a sick child, but as a cog in a machine. This isn't just Maria's story. So many feel unseen by structures meant to provide stability. We have to ask, how can we allow this to be the story we tell? Now, let me tell you about James. He lives a few doors down from Maria, and his story unfolds in the halls of a courthouse. He is there to sign papers that hold the future of his home. Dense language, a maze of jargon he's never seen. James is a smart man who didn't have the chance to finish high school. He feels shame and confusion as the clerk speaks a foreign language of law. Fearing he will look foolish, he just signs where he is told. It is a signature under duress of confusion, and it will cost him his home. He is left adrift, let down by a system that failed to communicate. These are not just sad anecdotes, they are evidence. Proof that our rules, laws, schools, courts, hospitals, and jobs are not always safety nets. For many, they are mazes with dead ends and hidden traps. They can hurt people, break spirits, and steal futures. This is why we must talk about inclusive justice and equity. When we talk about building a better world, we use big, beautiful words. Justice, equity, inclusion. What do these words truly mean in our everyday lives? Bring them down from the clouds and into our hearts. Justice is fairness, dignity, and an equal opportunity to succeed. The promise that rules apply to everyone in the same way. Not revenge or punishment, balance and restoration. Equality gives the same thing. Equity gives what each person needs to thrive. We don't all start from the same place. Inclusion ensures every voice is heard and every person belongs. Many move through the world unaware of walls surrounding others. For some, barriers are invisible. For millions, Maria, James. One of the highest walls is complicated language. Jargon in legal documents, medical forms, sites, and notices excludes many. Different education, learning disabilities, English as a second language. When you can't understand info about health, home, or freedom, you're at a disadvantage. Clear, simple language is respect, opening a door long locked. Access matters, distance to services, ramps, elevators, internet, devices, skills. True accessibility meets people where they are with multiple pathways. Step 2. Clarity, kindness, and open doors. Rewrite every touchpoint: forms, websites, signs, letters. Make it simple, clear, respectful, for moments of stress. Short sentences, everyday words, warm tone, helpful icons, translations. A well-designed form is an act of kindness. Open our doors, physical and digital accessibility. Offer evening, weekend hours, even mobile service vans. Provide online simplicity and always a non-digital alternative with a real, well-staffed phone line. Remove hidden costs. Question every fee. Use sliding scales. Waive fees when needed. Respect people's time with efficient processes and staffing. We have listened. We have cleared the path. Now, design with people, not for them. Co-design. Move away from decisions made in isolation. Invite true experts, those who use the system, to co-create. Compensate time, expertise, contribution. Review forms, test website prototypes, walk through new processes.
That language is still confusing, or this step won't work with 3 kids.
This builds trust. People become ambassadors for the system. Co-design ensures cultural competence and durable, beloved, responsive solutions we know will work together. A city clinic with long, dense forms and long waits. People left without care. Leadership chose to rebuild with compassion. They listened, providing rides and childcare so stories could be heard. Former patients, advocates, nurses, administrators, paid as experts. One-page forms, large print, icons, top languages. Bus stop added, warm waiting room, kids corner. Deep training and a new role, patient guide. No-shows dropped 40%. Satisfaction soared. The clinic became a place of healing and trust. A new administrator listened, then convened tenants, landlords, legal aid, and clerks to co-design. Simplified forms and plain language guides explaining each step. Weekly workshops, guides online and printed by the thousands. Tracking showed more people accessed legal help and negotiated solutions that kept them housed. No longer just a court of law, it became a court of justice. This path works because it centers people and their humanity. It addresses root causes, clarity, cost, access, rather than symptoms. Listening empowers. Co-design heals. Trust creates resilient systems that adapt with the community. Ultimately, this path succeeds because it is built on a foundation of love. Love is seeing humanity, listening to painful truths, and sharing power. With active, courageous love, systems stop being cold machines. They become living expressions of our commitment to one another. Feeling overwhelmed is natural, but change begins close to home. Small, intentional choices, every day. Look for clarity, welcome, and listen for stories of frustration. Offer to help, one person at a time. Ask institutions for plain guides. Vote for equity. Support legal aid. Hold the image. Maria can take a sick day. James finds a helping hand. One story, one conversation, one small change at a time. Trust is built when systems are fair. Communities flourish when people feel supported. Fair systems unlock human potential. Fairness is not a favor. It is a fundamental right and the bedrock of a healthy society. Take one story. Tell it. Ask one question. Make one change. That is how we answer the call to hope. That is how we build a world that works for everyone.